Hey guys. Okay, here's another experience where I did something. This is a missing people experience, but this experience has to do with someone dying and them crossing over and me helping the process with another loved one, with their loved ones. Anyway, my buddy that I'm working with the missing kids, he had a friend and his mother was dying or died, and she was in a coma or something where she wouldn't wake up, but she was still alive when she couldn't talk. So coma, I guess. And they wanted to pull the plug on her, and they were doing the lawyers and all that bullshit to get it done. But they wanted her to die like naturally, just go, but she wouldn't die. She was just laying there. And anyway, in the hospital. And my buddy's friend was telling him this, and then he told the guy, his friend, whose mother was dying, told him about me, and he said he'd ask if I could help out, contact his mom spiritually and find out what's wrong. So he came to me and told me that. I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. I've never done anything like this. I didn't even know I could do it. Anyway, so I cross over, bring my heart to my head, and I'm meditating. And this is a long time ago, by the way. It was like 20 years ago or so, 25 years. So I chant the girl's name that's sick. I was in a coffee shop or at home, somewhere like that. I never did actually see it. I just had her name. That's all I had. So I chanted her name and I let my spirit out. It went right to the person. So she's I see her laying there in the hospital, which I already knew she was. I hooked up to her inner light. And I see her, and all of a sudden I went to her soul. I'm seeing with her soul, and her soul is reacting with me. Or I'm like, hey, I'm here with your son, your son. Or no, I didn't say. I said I was just watching. Actually, I didn't know what to do. I was just watching, and there's a staircase. She's at the bottom of the staircase, and she's playing with things, a bunch of stuff, like personal items or something. I couldn't really tell what they were. And she was walking around, and there was white lilies all around the staircase and where she was. So it was like a staircase going up, and at the bottom of the staircase was her hospital bed, and the staircase going up with all these white lilies. And she's playing with them, but she has all these trinkets. And so I walked up to her, and I'm standing there in the lilies and everything, and I'm like, hi, I'm blah blah blah. And she goes, and I go, yeah, I know your son. He wanted me to see how you were doing. And she's like, she stops and she looks up at me and she goes, are you Jesus? And I'm like, no. And I didn't know. I'm like, holy Christ, what do you say to this? Right? I didn't understand like Christianity, Jesus, religion, or anything. Okay. I'm like freaking out. She goes, you Jesus? And automatically I got my answer in my head. And the answer was, I'm like, no, I'm just his helper. And she's like, oh, okay. And I go, so what are you? I'm like, and that just popped into my head. Just tell her you're not Christ, you're not Jesus Christ, but you're his helper. And she goes, oh, okay. And I go, so what are you doing? She goes, well, I'm trying to figure out. She's telling me, I'm trying to figure out how to tell my son about these things. And she picks up a cat. She holds me. She goes, you talk to my son, right? And I go, yeah. She goes, will you tell him to feed my cat? He's outside, he's stray, and he comes around all the time, and he has to be fed at such and such a time. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell him that. And then she goes, this is the jewelry box. And she goes, all these are heirlooms or whatever from the family, and she wants to make sure they go to the right people. And I go, okay, I'll tell them that. And she goes, and there was a couple other things told she told me to tell the son, and I wrote them down. I remember there was a cat, there was a ring that had to go to somebody that she owned. That had to go to somebody. She wanted that, and a couple other things, but I can't remember what they were. But the staircase was there, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, is that the stairway to heaven, you know? I guess that's what my first thought was. And as soon as when she asked me if I was Jesus, and I go, oh, I'm just Jesus' helper, right? And so what happened was I came out, I left her, and then I came out, I came back, I told my buddy, he wrote down everything I said in his paper, and it was pretty nice. Anyway, that's the last thought. That's the only time I hooked up to the lady. The next day, or the day after that, he told the son what his mother wanted him to do. And so my buddy told me what happened when he went and told his mother. He went and seen his mother in the hospital, and he was talking to her, like she was unconscious, but he was talking. He goes, so my friend went to see his mom, and he was talking to her while she was in a coma, and they had her on the beep heart machine or whatever, that beep 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 thing. And so as he was talking to his mom, he goes something along the lines of, don't worry, I'll feed the cat. I know I gotta feed the cat, and I gotta do this. And something about white lilies. She wanted white lilies at her funeral, and he goes, oh, we'll get lots of white lilies at the funeral. And every time he goes, I'll get the cat. The heart monitor went slower, and then he goes, oh, and the ring, I'll make sure it's given to whatever the family deal was with the ring. He goes, I'll take care of that. And then the heart went, and then it went slower, the heart monitor. And then he said about the white lilies, and he goes, oh, don't worry, we have lots of white lilies at your funeral. And then it went lower, and then there was a couple other things he said that he's taken care of. And then by the time he got done, he goes, don't worry about it, you can go. He goes, I got it all covered. It's all taken care of. And as soon as he said that, it flatlined and she died right in front of him. And then my buddy came back and told me, and I'm like, are you kidding me? He goes, nope. So my buddy's crying, and I'm crying. I'm like, wow, man, this is tripping me out. And then, so she died. And then my buddy, he had to find white lilies for the funeral, right? So they were traveling all over town, calling every florist for white lilies, because that's what they wanted at her funeral. And her funeral was like the next day or something. And so they're flying all over the town, all over, and they couldn't find any. And there was no white lilies. The whole town was sold out of white lilies. And he was really pissed off because he couldn't find no white lilies. So anyway, he just accepted it. And then he told me, he goes, we go to the funeral home, and without no white lilies. There's no white lilies in the town, in the whole county. They were all gone, all sold. And he said he walked into the funeral home. They opened up the door where everybody sits, the church or whatever, and the body's over there. And he said the whole place was filled with white lilies. Somebody else in the family had went and bought all the white lilies in Essex County. All of them. And the whole place was packed full of white lilies. And then he said he freaked out, because he was there, because I guess he knew. But he said he freaked out. And I'm like, holy shit. So, someone else, other than me, knew she liked white lilies and went and bought them all for the funeral. So when we went to get the white lilies, from what she said to me, I want white lilies at my funeral. He went to look from what she said to me, and he couldn't find any because another relative went and bought all the white lilies in Essex County. So that was pretty cool. That was another experience I had. And it was the same thing it was like the same process I go through with looking for missing people, right? So here's another one. So that was one experience I had. This experience was a girl went missing, and she was on the CBC, and there was an Amber Alert or something, and she went missing. And no, it wasn't an Amber Alert. Sorry, it was you go into like a grocery store, and they have a wall of missing people on the wall. So what we did was we took them all. We didn't take them all, but we got copies or whatever. And we had all these missing, like 20 pages of missing kids. So I started ripping them off and doing them, right? Going to see. There was a lot going on. But the one I remember, I went and I hooked up to the girl. She was missing for, I don't know her name, I don't know. But she was missing from, I think, Nova Scotia. She went missing in Nova Scotia. And so I crossed over, let my heart out. I said, will myself to such and such a girl. So I chanted the name. I will myself to the name. And I'm flying, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm standing in like a Walmart. I'm standing in a Walmart, and she's working. She's hanging clothes. And it wasn't a Walmart, but it was something like a Walmart, like back in the day, in the late 2000, somewhere in there. And she's hanging up clothes, and so I hooked up to her, and I go, are you missing? Like, what's going on? Like, I just asked, are you like, this person was supposed to be missing? And all of a sudden I got all this information from her whole soul. And I ran away from home because they were abusing me. I ran away from home to Fredericton. She was working in Fredericton, and she was from Nova Scotia. She was from Nova Scotia. She ran away from home to New Brunswick and was working in New Brunswick. And I think the town was Fredericton, but I think Fredericton's in Nova Scotia, so I don't know. But anyway, she was in another town, another province. She was in New Brunswick. Maybe I'm getting my wires crossed. It was so long ago. And she just ran away from home. So you see, she was running away from abuse, which was either rape or violence. And it was a good thing she ran away. And so we never did call the cops. We just let her live her life, and she was better off where she was. As far as I was concerned, she was better off where she was. And she was a teenager, like 18 or something. So I know, who am I to make the judgment, right, when I'm a missing girl? But look at my track record already. And I hooked up to this girl, and she ran away from home from abuse. I'm gonna call cops. They're going to come and arrest her and take her back home, put her back in the abuse? Nope. So I just left that one alone. We just left it alone. So that was another one I did. And let me see if I got another one here I can put in this video. Oh, here's one. This is oh, I better not do that. Anyway, so that's a couple more cases I did with missing kids. I only got 14 minutes left, right? With cancer. Okay, there was a girl that went missing in Maryland. I think Maryland's on the East Coast, somewhere in there. Anyway, I can't remember, but I got her name. and we called the police. So what I did was I laid down, crossed over, chanted her name, and went to her. And she was, I think she was another runaway. And she was living with her boyfriend or a bunch of guys. And she was in a trailer park, living in a trailer with another guy or a couple guys. And she wasn't abducted. She ran away, and she wasn't in trouble. And a thing I learned in this was, I got all the information immediately, but she was up in New York State, somewhere in there. She left where she was, she left, she ran away, and she was living with this guy and was in another state. But the thing is, in this case, where she lived, I could tell by the land and the trees. And where she went to another state, it was the same kind of land and trees. So it was like granite and deciduous forest. It was the same land mass, but it was in the same two states. So I knew the land mass, right? I could feel the land mass, and I could see the trees. They were all deciduous, like, deciduous, soft. They weren't like pine trees, carnivorous forest. It was all in the forest. So I don't know. Anyway, she was there, and all of a sudden, I went back and checked the next day. Like, we called the police and told them, we gave them directions to the state, because we got maps and everything. We looked and we figured out an area where she was in this state. And we didn't have Google Earth or anything back then, just maps, and we limited maps. And the cop said, yeah, he knew the areas, he's gonna go check it out. I don't know if they ever found her or not. We said she was a runaway, but this is where she is, and she was in danger. Like, she was really young, and she ran away with this kid, and they were like drug addicts and everything. So you go in the trailer and there's bottles of Jack Daniels and AC/DC playing, and she's like 12. Okay, so you can't have that. And well, I don't anyway. So we told the cop, we don't know. The cop never called us back. I went back and checked, and I could never hook up to her. It was just like everything's okay. So every time I went back to her, I hook up to her, but I got new information. I couldn't see the location. I couldn't get any new information. So every time I did it like 3 or 4 times. I hooked up to this kid, and it was blocked out or something. It wasn't blocked out. I just never got any information, because I think whatever it was that I said to the cop, maybe they went and found her. Maybe they were looking. Maybe the spirits didn't want me to do something. I don't know, but either way, I couldn't go back and get any more information on her. So I think it was taken care of, whatever it was. I know she didn't die. She wasn't dead. So that was another case I did. And that's what you do, man. You lay down, you meditate, you bring your heart to your head, inner light and your innocence, and you chant the name of the person. You don't need a picture. You don't have to have a picture. You don't know where in the world this person is. Just pick a name. Get someone to give you a name. You lay down and you hook up, you chant the name, you let your heart out, you bring it to your head, and you also let it out. And you start chanting, I will myself to this person, blah, blah, blah. I will myself to whoever. And as you're chanting that, your spirit aligns to that person, to their soul. And then once you get the alignment, you feel yourself traveling. And you just lay there and you travel for however long it takes. And then when it stops traveling, open your eyes. Now you'll be up high, you'll be down low, whatever it is. You have to go either higher in your soul or lower in your soul. Then I take out my spirit hands, if you can do this. Take out your spirit hands, reach out and touch your flesh. If your hands go through the body, that means you're too high or too low. So you go low, and then it gets more meat, or you go high and it gets more meat. Either way, and then basically you're trying to touch. You're either too low, you're trying to touch the person, their ethereal skins, their ethereal body, and eventually you'll come down and go like that, and you'll be able to touch them. Then touch their heart, their inner light comes out, feel the land, feel where they are, because you're in the lower astral. Stay soul level, not inner light level, soul level. You want to stay with the soul. And then you go down, you feel the land, you feel where they are, you pan in, zoom out, find locations, church steeples, windmills, railroad tracks. If you can feel land masses, different kind of land masses, and see trees, what kind of trees there are you on the east coast, the west coast, south, north, all that. And all that will come very fast. So just note it. And you put yourself in place. That's why when you learn to project your consciousness, and I tell you to go to these different places in different land masses and then feel the land where you are. That's why I tell you to do it, because if you have to go look for missing kids or people or whatever, it's good to know land masses, and that'll give you a specific area. And then you can even feel what state they're in. You can feel the state. I do. I can feel the state I'm in. I don't even know where the states are located. I just get to the person and I'm like, Nebraska, or, wherever. Then, with my earplugs in, as I'm doing this, I can chant, and I ask myself, what city is this? What city is this? What city is this? What city? What city? What city am I in? What city am I? And it'll say Orange County, California, something like that. Never been there, don't know nothing about it, didn't even know it existed. And all of a sudden my spirits, their soul has told my soul, and my soul tells me, just by me chanting, where am I? Where is this? And that's how fast it works. It's incredible, man. So these are just notes. If you're going to do this, watch my videos, take down notes, learn these processes in yourself. And then when you go look, guys, it's so easy. It's so easy. Once you get out of the illusion that you can't do anything, everything you've been taught in your life tells you this is not real, this can't be done. Once you kill all that in your head, you can go and do anything you want. You just got to learn how to do it. And that's where the focusing, by massaging your toes to your head over and over and over while relaxing, staying focused. Without that learning, without that control, that focus control in yourself, you'll never be able to do this, let alone go to Mars and hook up to aliens and remote view them. You got to stay focused, because as soon as you get relaxed in your bed and you're getting ready to go to the person and you're chanting it, you'll fall into a dream, and it's no good. You can't go into dream space. You got to stay focused on what you're doing, body, mind, and soul, and that is the most important thing. So I think that's enough for this video, and that's important stuff. If you're going to do remote viewing, projecting your consciousness, that's not the military way of remote viewing. Okay, they're working for someone. Okay, military remote viewers, they're working for the military. All right, everything they're doing is probably not good, and you're never going to hear about it. You'll hear about it, that they exist on the internet and all that, but you're never going to hear the cases. You're never going to find out what it is, because it's all top secret crap. To me, you're working for the government. My way, it takes you right there. Taste, touch, smell, sound, visuals, 10 times over. But once you know how to do it, you can do it. And to me, that's working for God. That's working from the heart. That's working for innocence. That's God. That's good stuff. Okay, you're not working for a lie. Find out what the codes are in the submarine. Really? Anyway, if that's your shtick, you know, go do it, whatever, I don't care. But if you want to learn, and while you're doing this, you're learning about yourself, and you can expand on your own abilities every time, and you're learning. You're learning more and more every time you do it, and getting better and better in your own daily life. From this, from doing that, totally expands your whole daily life in your mundane world. So I'm just letting you know. Later, guys.